and trying to portray the divorce litigation in another court as a form of domestic abuse, which is just a ridiculous strategy. And on cross-examination, the complaining witnesses, her story just didn't hold up. You have to, if you can't cross-examine a witness yourself, you don't know how to do it. You got to have a lawyer do it, or otherwise the odds are against you. I mean, I do encourage people to do things pro se, but there are such situations where it's not practical. And the restraining order situation is often one of those, because cross-examination techniques and the evidentiary rules are sometimes too complicated for the average person to learn. So, and the stakes are high. I mean, you're going to be thrown out of your house for maybe a year, maybe forever, if you have a restraining order against you. So you don't, you don't mess around. I mean, it's a serious matter, and you have to have a lawyer who really knows how to defend a restraining order, or to use the procedural rules to get a rehearing. The kinds of things you need to do is you have to show bad faith, show ulterior motive, contradictory circumstances. I mean, if she says that you were in Newton at 3 o'clock and you actually can show that you were in Springfield, that's the kind of thing you want to be able to get into evidence, and there's a way to do it. There's a way to put things into evidence. There's a way to ask a question, and the average person isn't going to be able to learn how to do that themselves without a lot of preparation.
So the average person, I think, also doesn't always know what the legitimate criteria for filing a restraining order is. What is the legitimate criteria? The
legitimate criteria is when you've been a victim of violence, or you've been threatened with violence, seriously threatened with violence, or someone's attempted to do violence on you, or you've been forced to have sexual relations against your will. Those are the criteria for seeking a restraining order. And it can be anyone in the household you live in. It could be a roommate in college. It can be parent against child, child against parent, or spouse, or boyfriend and girlfriend, or living together, or a gay couple living together, and some kind of dating relationship. Those are the people who can take them out. Other kinds of restraining orders can be taken out at the Superior Court level.
So how do people abuse that criteria? What are the type of, in bad faith tactics that people use to get restraining orders unfairly?
Unfortunately, some people just out and out lie. And they bring witnesses who will lie for them. I mean, this is a very sad thing, but we see it happen. There are a lot of fake restraining orders out there. And, or I'd say restraining orders that are built on distortions and outright fabrications. And if someone says they've been hit, and they haven't been hit, or they've been threatened, or they've been raped, or sexually assaulted, and they haven't been, that's a terrible thing. I mean, that's one of the commandments, the 10 Commandments that ask us whether you take, religion seriously or not. I mean, that's one of the really foundations of Western civilization, is that thou shalt not bear a false witness. And the restraining order syndrome has just created a lot of false witnesses out there, and it's very tragic.
So another tactic one parent might use in a divorce is to use parental alienation to even make it further, to make it even more bitter. So how would you suggest people deal with and try to prevent parental alienation? Well,
parental alienation, for those who haven't heard the term before, is basically when one parent tries to indoctrinate the children to dislike the other parent, and that happens. And they do everything from making up stories about the parent to withholding visitation from the other parent, and basically doing a form of brainwashing. Well, your father doesn't really want to see you, father doesn't love you, mother doesn't love you, moved out, moved away, decided to have another family without you, or she'd have another family without you, and the kids get left with the feeling that a parent has abandoned them, when in fact it's the spouse who has very vindictively created the scenario. And the way we handle it in our office is unlike what is done in most other firms I know of. we will bring lawsuits or threaten lawsuits against parents who try to estrange their children from our clients. If there's any parent alienation going on, we will encourage the bringing of lawsuits for slander or intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, the courts are not necessarily friendly towards those lawsuits, but they're certainly a way of inhibiting them. And you certainly can get contempt proceedings against parents who withhold visitation in violation of agreements or court orders. You can have them pay a sanction fee. You can even have a party jailed for withholding visitation against a court order. And actually, we've seen some judges do that in the past couple of years. I think that's tragic, but it has to be done.
So before we conclude today, is there anything else you'd like to go over? Any other issues we
I
want to
think
address?
that covers up. I think divorce is more than half the couples in our country are going to get divorced. I mean, that's just a statistical reality. It's a tragic thing, but if it's done with planning and with the right team, it doesn't have to be it can be a little bit less painful. It's going to be painful, but the right lawyer and the right strategy can certainly reduce the pain.
Well, David, I want to thank you very much for being here tonight and addressing these important issues. And I want to thank the audience watching at home as well. You can visit David's website at grossack.com if you have any more questions, want any more information, or you can call him at 617-965-9300.
Thank you, Kerry.